Good morning. Today I'm dealing with a topic called as authentication 1. That is, meaning of authentication is a party which is going to be attempting to log in. For example, a client attempting to log in, he proves his identity. So the proving of identity is called as an authentication. So for example, I am the Gmail account holder. I want to log in onto the Gmail server. Then what I will do is I will attempt to log in by giving in my password and my user ID. So by giving the user ID and the password, I am proving that I am the identity, or I am the identity. So same way, I say that authentication can be done in a variety of ways. One is we can use for proving ourselves, our identities. So one way is we can provide the password. Another one is we can show the ID cards, identity cards are there, or we can show the passport. Or another example is, another way of proving our identity is by the help of a biometric. So physical parameters of the human body. For example, I can prove myself, I can identify myself by the way of an voice recognition. If I give the voice, because my voice is stored in the database, and whenever I am going to be talking here, so my voice is going to be matched with the database. If it is going to be a genuine one, then I can say that one I am identified by the server. Same way, we can use the fingerprint for the identification, and we can use the better example is our retina. And there is another possibility called as an DNA. So there are n number of ways to prove our identity, or to make our identification. So that they are the voice recognition, fingerprint recognition, retina, and we can use our ID, and we can use the password. So in this example, we have an one way authentication protocol. The meaning of one way is nothing but either the sender is going to be proving his identity to the server, or the server is going to be proving his identity to the client. So any one of the two communicating party proves their identities or shows their identities. So that is called as an one way authentication. So in the one way authentication, we have the two kinds of ways are there. One is based on the password, we can make our authentication. Otherwise, we can use a certificate based identification. In the password based authentication, the client is going to be initially he is going to be registering into the server by giving his password and username. And whenever he wants to have an authentication to be done, so what the client is going to be giving is information is, he gives his username, and then he will enter the password. And if the username and the password, when it is going to be passing through the public network, and it goes to the your server, and in the server's database it is going to be comparing the username and the password. If they are going to be matched, then we say that the server will make sure that this is the right client who is going to be willing to access my data. So the client will prove himself that I am the particular client who is willing to get a certain data from the server. But whenever we say that we can pass the username and the password, in the sense they are the readable format. So when they are in the readable format, these data, when it is accessed by the some other attacker, so he can use that password and the username, and after a certain time he will again replay that one, and he claims himself as an the client only, but he is not actually the client. He has replayed my username and the password, and he is going to be attacking the your database. So in such case of an scenarios, the better is the solution is, instead of sending the plain the readable password and the your username, better is to hash them. So better is to use the cryptographic hashing. So what that hashing does is take your password and hash them with a particular technique, so that whenever it is accessed by the some other mediator or an attacker, so it will not be known that what we are going to be hash the content. So even in this case also we have some problem. The hashed content itself is going to be copied and it is going to be replayed at the certain moment. So in such situations, the solution is better is to have the challenges. Challenge is nothing but the you have to generate a nonce. So whenever, so to overcome this replay attack, so we are using an fresh challenges can be generated by the system. So in this scenario, we have an challenge response protocols are there. So I have shown with the four diagrams. Figure A is on the top left corner, figure B on the right top right corner, and similarly figure C and figure D on the bottoms. So the figure A, in the figure A, the two communicating parties, one is a user A and another one is an user B. So how a user A authenticates, or how the user A identifies himself to the user B. So in this case, we have shown with the first symbol and first symbol, that is user A. User A is going to be conveying his identity by passing his identity as an double quotation of A. So whenever this identity goes to the B will verifies in its database about the identity of an A. If it is matches, then he will generate an challenge as an nonce called as an R. So user will generate a nonce. So the user B will generate a nonce in the second step, and this nonce, when it reaches to the user A, the user A, what he does is he will reply back as a response by doing the functionality with the password and the nonce. It is going to be forwarded to the user B. So what it gives a scenario is A is going to be authenticating itself to the user B by giving an this response called as an, the response which is generated by the user B will be performing a certain function, and it will return back to the B only. So in the figure A, what we have shown is three communication the handshakes are done. Initially user A identifies itself to the user B by sending an A, and when a user this B identifies or he verifies that he is the right user, then he sends an challenge as an R in the second step, and in turn the second A will respond to the challenge by doing by sending a password along with the nonce to the user B. So this is a way called as a challenge and response. Challenge is created by the second step and response is given in the third step. So it is called as challenge response protocol. Similarly, in the figure B, what the user does is instead of doing the password and the your nonce are done in the third step of the figure A. So instead of doing that one, we have done an alternative thing is we will perform the hash function on the concatenation of the password and the your what's called as a challenge. So the challenge and the password are concatenated, and its hashed value is going to be passed to the user B in the second protocol. And similarly in the figure C, in the bottom bottom left figure, so in this one we do the different thing. Instead of hashing the password and the challenge, we will do the encryption of the response or a challenge by using the password. So in the third figure, so response is going to be, or a response is going to be encrypted by using the password instead of doing a hash operation. So same way in the third alternative, in the fourth option is we will do the different thing. In the second step itself, we are going to be doing the whatever the challenge is going to be created by the user B is going to be encrypted in the second step only, and the A's response is to decrypt that operation and get the response, and this response is going to be forwarded to the user B. So in this way we can do the challenges are created by the one user and a response is going to be created by the other user. That's why all these kind of an options are called as a challenge response protocols. And in the second type, that is a certification based authentication. So in the certification based authentication, as we will see in the figure A, the two users A and B are authenticating by not by sending the certain password or the or an nonce value. What they does is they will the user A in the first step he will send the he will send his certificate to the user B, and the user B what he does is he is checking the validity period of that certificate and the name of that particular certificate, and he also verifies the signature of that certification authority. If all these checkings are going to be genuine, then the user B will send say a challenge. He will send a challenge as a nonce called as an R in the second step. After verifying all these things, he will send an nonce, and in response to that nonce in the user A, what he does is he is going to be sending that nonce in an encrypted way using the private key. Using the private key, he will encrypt that data and he will send it to the user B. And the user B, he is going to be user B will decrypt that information using the A's public key and compares with the nonce. If it is going to be matching, then he assumes that A is going to be an authenticated user. So in the right figure B, what he does is, so we instead of doing the in the third step of the figure A, we will use the private key is going to be used to encrypt the nonce. But in the figure B, in the second step, what we do is, so we are going to be encrypting the nonce by using the public key rather than using the private key. So it will be encrypted and it will be given to the user A. And in the third step, he will decrypt with the private key and get the nonce, and the nonce are going to be compared. If it is genuine, then he will allow for the communication. That is, A is going to be authorized or it is going to be authenticated by the B. So now we will see one more important concept called as an mutual authentication. In an earlier example, we have seen an one-way authentication. Either the client is going to be authenticating himself or the server is going to be authenticating himself by any one of them user is going to be authenticating. Now it is not so. Both the communicating parties have to authenticate themselves. So that's why it is called as a mutual authentication. So we have a variety of mutual authentication methods are there. One is secret, shared secret key based authentication is there. Asymmetric key based authentication is there. Authentication by using an agreement and so on. So now we will go on to the secret, shared secret based authentication methods. So please remember here, both the communicating party have to be authenticated themselves. So for that sake, see in the figure number A, here the user A is communicating its identity as an A and its challenge as an RA to the user B. So what in the first step user does is he communicates its identity and its challenge to the B, and in response to this one, the user B, what he does is he responds the challenge by encrypting that array to the A. So what he does is he will encrypt the nonce which is already sended by the A, and at the same time note down here the user B is also now sending the nuns. But in an earlier example, only nuns can be generated by either by the sender or by the receiver. But now the nuns are going to be generated by both the sender and receiver. So in the second step, whatever the nuns is created by the A, user is encrypted by the B, and at the same time the another nuns is going to be generated by the B and it will be forwarded to the A. And in the third step, whatever the nuns is going to be sended by the user B is encrypted by using the user A. So in this case, so nuns are going to be communicated in two ways. So that's why it is called as an mutual authentication, that is a shared secret key. So here in this case we may have some difficulty. So here that what we have in difficulty is the user A is identifying himself as an A and he will send a nuns called as an RA. There are some situations that whatever the communication is done by the A is it is going to be copied and it is replayed to the user B. That's why we call by the name called as a man in the middle attack. So in the man in the middle attack, what we have seen is suppose if you see on the right side of the figure, user C is a man in the middle. What he does is, whenever the user A is sending the certain identity as an A and RA, he copies that one, and after a certain amount of time he forward that kind of an information to the user B, claiming that he is the user A, but actually he is the user C. So user C is going to be copying the content and he will forward it to the user B. But what the user B assumes is that, so yes, this is the data coming from the user A. So he will generate the nuns and he will encrypt the array with the encryption key and he will send it to the C, assuming that C itself is an A. So but what the man in the middle C does is he copies the content of the this RB and that is a nuns, and he will generate his identity as a B. But it is not actually the B, but it is the content which is going to be sent by the C. So the B in the third step 1 dash, what we have used a 1 dash. So in that 1 dash, user C is behaving as if is a user B. So he will send the information to the user A, indicating that my identity is B and my nuns is going to be, the challenge is nothing but RB. So what the user A thinks is that yes, the data is coming from the B. So he will in response to this one, he will send the RB is going to be encrypted and he will send his own nuns called as an RC. So and the C user in the third step, what he does is he takes the RB and he will forward it to the B. So what the B assumes is that I have sent an RB and the user is also sending back the same RB. So he assumes that A is going to be communicating, but actually the scenario is not so. The C is going to be communicating here. This is called as an parallel session attack. Now we will go for another method called as an asymmetric key based authentication. As the name indicates that asymmetric in the sense we have an public and the private key pairs are needed. So in the first example, A user is transmitting the message. So he will transmit the message along with the A's signature. A's signature is nothing but an A's certificate along with the nuns. Along with the nuns, he will send the A's message. And in the message, in response to this one, in the second step, the B user, what he does is he will concatenate the nuns generated by the A and the nuns generated by the B, and he will encrypt. He will sign it by the B's what's called as an sign, and he will send that information to the user A. And in the third step, the RB user will uses the challenge provided by the B, and he will sign it by the A. So RB value is, or the nuns which is generated by the B user is signed by the A user, so as to provide a security. But here also we will come across the same problem what we have seen in an earlier example, that is man in the middle. So in the man in the middle, in the sense man in the middle, what happens is, here the C user is going to be the middle. So what he does is, whatever the communication is going to be happening between the A and B, so in the middle of that one he copies the content and he will replay as if he is going to be the user A in an step called as an 1 dash. So in the 1 dash he will forward the same information. I am A, I am sending a nonce called as an array. So what the user B thinks is that he is the right user, so he verifies all the contents and he will generate his own nonce, and he is going to be sending that RA and RB, and it is going to be signed by the B user. So the same content is going to be forwarded by the C to the user A in the same step. And in the third step, what the user A does is, so he will extract the nonce which is generated by the B user and he will sign it by the A, and the same information is going to be forwarded here. So what the man in the middle does is, he is just copying the contents which is communicated between an A and the B value. So this kind of a problem that is arises in the case of an asymmetric key based authentication protocol. And one more attack we will see in this one, that is called as a dictionary attack. So dictionary attack in the sense, usually whenever we are using any kind of an passwords to be used, generally for our convenience we are using an common names here. Whenever a user asks to enter the password, in the sense commonly what we will use is, we will either use an 1 2 3 4 or we will use an ABC. They are called as a common default passwords. And similarly, in another example, whenever we say about any kind of a password to be used, means we will use a celebrities names. For example, we use an Shah Rukh Khan, which is going to be used in an reverse order. Otherwise, whenever we ask for the password, we will keep our birthday date itself as an password, or our mobile number is going to be the password. So these are called as an common users when they are going to be using. These are the commonly used passwords. So such kind of passwords can be created by the attacker, and one among these password, if it matches, then it is called as a dictionary attack. So I have shown with an one live example here. So here D is the array containing the dictionary. D is an array containing the dictionary, and F is the passwords of the client. So and N is nothing but it is the permissible guesses. So in this example, found is initially false, I is equal to 0 here, and while not found, and y and I is less than the N value. So what it does is, we will do the certain functionality of the dictionary of I with our R value. So the R value with the dictionary is going to be matching. If that value is going to be matched here, we will print that it is the correct password, and we will display, and we can say that, so true is equal to the found here. One among the stored value, if it is matches, then we say that it is an dictionary's content are going to be matching. So it is called as a dictionary attack. So until we have seen an authentication 1 protocol, and here we have an additional this one, what's called as an enhancement in the authentication protocol, that is called as an authentication protocol 2, that is authentication 2. I will explain in the next this videos. So if you have any kind of queries, you can subscribe me onto the YouTube channel. So thank you, have a nice day.